Hello fantasy managers, and welcome to another video from myself, Will, and fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Today we are joined by none other than double game week guru Ben Crellin. Welcome, Ben.
Hi.
So Ben, you're known for your double game week spreadsheets and helping the community out with your planning, and I'm sure many of the listeners will know you from Twitter and also from using your incredible sheet on site. But for those that don't know, maybe if you could just give a quick intro to who you are and how you got into FPL.
Okay, I got into FPL in 2007-8, just seeing some people at school playing it, and so I entered a team. And then I started playing it more seriously with some poker players in a league for money back in 2011-12. And since then, I've had a consistent run of top 50k finishes without any sensational finish. I've done a bit better since the chips were introduced. I came 5k in 2015-16.
Very nice.
2000 in 16-17. Nothing better than that. And
some good finishes there by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's okay. And I make a community spreadsheet of the calendar that I share on Twitter, showing the double game weeks. And I was pleased to see that the double game weeks fell more or less how I predicted they would when they were announced earlier this week.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, if you haven't been following Ben, he's basically told everybody that the upcoming blank and double game week fixtures, and he's given the whole community a massive heads up on the expected fixtures and allowed us to plan well in advance. And for those who haven't been lucky enough to know his work, then they're suddenly hit by a double game week completely out of the blue, because it only got announced officially this week. But thanks to Ben, we've known for quite a while that these fixtures are going to come up. But we're going to come to double game week and free hits a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to have a quick look at your team from last week, Ben. So you're going strong there at 28k. Sort of mixed bag last week in the blank game week. The week before that, you had a very good one. So maybe just start off by telling us a little bit about the week before last.
Yeah, the week before last was my best game week rank in memory. A game week rank of 2.6k.
Wow.
With 105 points. That was just getting lucky, really. I've been preparing for the blanks coming up, bringing in players like Rondon and Vardy. And the week before, I just took a punt on Sterling as well for his good fixtures, and I captained him. So just all came together nicely, and got a really good score. And before then, I was having quite a boring season, just gradually dropping down the ranks to 100k. And I jumped from 100k all the way up to 27k in one game week.
Yeah, just goes to show that massive differential captain can still fire you up the rankings, can't it? So yeah, 39 points with a -4 last time out. It's quite a similar one to me, to be honest. Just get my team up there. So yeah, it's 45 points for the -4. Not brilliant week, but I know lots of people had worse ones. So I'm not going to complain. It was a green arrow, so moving in the right direction. I was hoping for a bit more, but King and Rondon coming in good for me there as my differentials. Even Richarlison back from the dead. Last 2 weeks, he's done all right for me, and was actually a little bit unlucky not to get another assist for that Sigurdsson penalty. So yeah, I'll definitely take that, and looking forward to using my free hit chip this week and having a go at the double game week. So if you don't know, these are the double game weeks which have been announced. And maybe Ben, if you could just take us through those fixtures and maybe highlight what teams to look out for and what teams should we be ignoring there.
Well, the obvious one everyone will be wanting to load up on is Man City. They've got two of the easiest fixtures there with Fulham and Cardiff.
Yeah, plum fixtures, aren't they?
Yeah, Tottenham, we always knew that they were likely to get kind of a mixed bag of double game weeks because they're playing Liverpool away in double game week 32. That's been paired with Crystal Palace. So you might want a Tottenham player or two. And the Crystal Palace game is the first game at the new stadium. So we don't really know how that's going to go. And then we've got a few teams that, like Watford and Brighton and Wolves, who have got a FA Cup semi-final the following weekend. So that's something to be wary of, maybe.
So there's a chance they might rest a few players then?
I would have thought so. We know Watford have done it before. They rested basically all their key players the weekend before their quarter-final. And so you'd expect them to rest players in maybe the second of these double game week fixtures.
Yeah.
At home to Fulham.
Yeah, good point. And what are your thoughts on Manchester United and Chelsea?
Yeah, I like Chelsea's fixtures. I'm on my 3-hit chip, so I'll have 3 Chelsea players, I would have thought, with Hazard and 2 defenders or goalkeeper. For Man United, it's difficult because there's injuries around the forwards, and you don't know how serious the injuries are. Maybe they're just being a bit cautious because the manager would rather have them ready for the Premier League games and doesn't want to risk them. But it'll be important to see what Solskjaer says in the press conference, so we know whether we can go for Lukaku or Rashford. I'm sure everyone had Pogba, I think.
That press conference before is going to be crucial, I think. I think most will be on Pogba, although I've looked at not having him, but I probably will go with him. So we're going to start off then with some community questions. The first one there is, should we be considering any single game week players? So obviously we've got these teams that have got 2 games this week. And for those, maybe if you're on a free hit or if you're not on a free hit, both Ben and I are playing our free hit chip this week. But if you're thinking about bringing a player in this week, or if you're going for a free hit, like a whole team, should you go for a whole team of double game weekers? Is that what you would recommend?
Yeah, I think so. If it's just 1 week and you're on a free hit, I mean, if you look at a double game week player and look at a similarly priced single game week player, the ceiling and the floor, the points floor is going to be so much higher. It's just as much minutes and the appearance points and everything. I
saw if you look at points per game, if you compare someone to like Duffy, who's got 2 fixtures, and you compare him to Salah, who's got the highest points per game this season, then Duffy actually outscores Salah over the 2 games. So I think that, I've not even considered any single game week players this week. There are going to be the ones which do really, really well in the single game week, but just pure probability and chance, you've got to back those double game week players. Of course, you can't predict which players are going to score the most points, and people will look back on it and say maybe Aubameyang got a hat trick and say it was a mistake to avoid him, but you can't tell. Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more. Okay, so moving on then to a question from Michael. Can you trust Spurs and Chelsea assets? So you mentioned a little bit about Chelsea there, and you're already thinking about bringing them in. So, and I'm looking at 3 Chelsea players as well, though I'm not 100% sure on Hazard yet. But what about Spurs? So moving into their new stadium, not a wealth of options. Obviously, we had Son before, but he's kind of dropped off the radar. How about Harry Kane? Is he someone you're thinking about? I'm thinking about it. He's very expensive though, isn't he? And Aguero is just a much better striker option. I'll probably want 1 attacking Spurs player. I'll see how they all do in the international break. But I'm thinking Eriksen at the minute, but I might think about it some more. How come Eriksen? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much. He's just there as a placeholder at the minute. But I can switch down to Ali if he looks good, or anyone. The midfielders are probably better value for money than Kane based on current form. None of their players have been in great form recently, but that's true. As a Spurs fan, I know that very, very well. It's been a bit of a bad patch, but maybe I'm slightly biased. But at the moment, Kane is in my team. Just going to the new stadium, he's going to be really motivated to do well there, and they couldn't ask for a much better fixture than Crystal Palace. Although saying that, I know that record against Crystal Palace in recent seasons hasn't been fantastic, but
Palace have been good away. Palace have been good away from home recently as well.
Yeah, well, that is true. Yeah, maybe I've got a bit of some Spurs goggles on there, but he's, it's still Harry Kane. He's still got 2 games, and I think he's in with a good shot. I do think it does come down to Hazard or Kane. So you've got, well, for me, the first 2 names on on the team sheet was Aguero and Sterling. I don't know about you, and then I've also got Pogba. So you can really only afford one other big hitter. So it does come down between a choice between Hazard and Kane for many. And I think that it could be the big differentiator. At the moment, I'm not sure. I think they're both good options, but I'm leaning towards Kane. Okay, let's have a look at the next question then. So what are the teams most likely to rotate their assets in game week 32 and in which games? So I'm going to pass this one over to you, Ben, because you will know a lot more than me. And we've got a sheet that you created up on the screen there. So maybe just talk the viewers through what exactly that means and what teams we should be careful of bringing players in from.
It's just the number of days, the rest days between fixtures. You can see the grey squares are when there's only 2 days rest between fixtures, and light grey is 3, and then white for everything else. You can see the red games are the FA Cup games coming up. So we can see that Wolves and Watford, they've both got a 4-day break ahead of their FA Cup semi-final against each other. But I've already mentioned that I think Watford are likely to rotate in the Fulham game.
Yeah.
That's why I'm staying away from De La Feu.
What about Jimenez?
Yeah, they haven't shown much form for rotating, but this is as the games get more important, this is the semi-final. This is a better way into Europe than coming 7th in the league, because winning the FA Cup gets you into the group stage, I think. So they're probably just going to go all out to try and get the FA Cup win. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult in the final against Man City if they get there, but I kind of think they might, even if they don't rotate, they could be a bit distracted in the games against Man United, for example. So I'm not considering Jimenez.
You're not at all. Are you considering any Wolves or Watford players whatsoever? No.
Definitely not any Watford players, because their easy fixture is the one they're most likely to rotate in. For Wolves, I don't think so. I think I'd rather go Crystal Palace, who have got a long break.
Yeah, Crystal Palace, they've got Huddersfield and Tottenham there. And I've been looking at Jeffrey Schlupp. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I've got him in my team. He's got good attacking stats, and he might be playing out of position if Van Aanholt gets back. So
coming in at 4.5, same price as Wan-Bissaka. So yeah, I think he's looking good. He's got good underlying numbers. And obviously Huddersfield is a fixture where you would expect them to get a clean sheet, and with those attacking stats, and I think he's a good shout. You can see there that Chelsea have only got 2 days rest between Cardiff and Brighton. Do you think any of their players might get rested?
Well, they've got the international break. I don't know. 2 days rest is the equivalent of Thursday to Sunday. So
yeah,
I mean, you see them play first-team players in both games before. I would have thought that Hazard would play both games, because this is the important. I mean, they're lagging behind now in the top 4 race, and they're going to be desperate to win these games.
Yeah.
And then they've got quite a long break to their Monday night fixture in Game Week 33. So I would have thought the players coming back from international break fairly early.
What about their defenders? So I'm currently looking at David Luiz, and I've heard that he's missed the occasional game recently, and he might be a rotation risk. So that has me worried. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, David Luiz is one of the players that I've kept from my free hit team, and I've got a bit of value locked up in. I think I'll keep David Luiz and start him.
Good. That's reassuring for me. Okay, then. So moving on to the last community question then. Well, we've already talked about Hazard, and we've just noticed that he scored a couple of goals for Belgium. So we're recording this on Thursday when Belgium are playing their international match. And he's got is it a couple of penalties or one penalty and one
penalty, and then an 88th minute goal with a Batshuayi assist.
So he's producing it for his country, and you've gone for him for your FPL team, and I know many are probably going to. Is he a locked in for you, or are you on the fence with him?
Yeah, I think he's pretty much locked in. The European team's playing tonight, playing Thursday, and then the second match is on Sunday, and they get a nice break. Whereas you've got teams like Denmark and England are playing later in the weekend, and they'll come back a bit later. But yeah, I like Eden Hazard. I'll have him in the team.
So do you know, is there anyone from sort of prominent in your thinking that you think might be affected from playing international duties?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm going to see how the Tottenham midfielders do over the international break, like Ali and Eriksen and Son, maybe even Kane if he does really well for England. That'll play a part, but I haven't really thought about it. I'll just react to what happens and then reassess after all the games have been played.
Yeah, so I guess we are still quite a way out from from having to finalise our team. So I definitely make sure you check all the latest international injuries before you go making your transfers, I guess. Okay, so having a quick look then. So this is our algorithm on site by our statistician Carl. And there's really popular on site last week, and I had a lot of requests to do one this week. So Carl has very kindly put this together. So if you don't know, this uses spread betting odds to calculate expected FPL points. So it looks at the chances of a player scoring or assisting, and it also includes expected bonus points. So, and this is a team that Carl put together based on the highest expected total for a game week, for game week 32 rather. And I think it's quite interesting. So we have taken out some players, like it showed Alonso there, that he was part of this team, but we have taken him out because we're not sure on his expected minutes, and that's something it doesn't take into account. And it did also include both the Silvas, David Silva and Bernardo Silva. So those have also been removed because we're unsure of their minutes. But I'll leave a link to the actual article where Carl goes through a couple of iterations of this, and you can see his working outs, and maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't, but either way, it's interesting read. But they've got Kane in there. Hazard isn't, and neither is Rashford. I think those are probably the two big omissions. Carl has actually included those in his own draft. So I would, his draft, which includes Hazard and Rashford, comes out at 115. So it's a very similar expected points total. But even so, what are your thoughts on that lot, Ben? What do you think of that? Obviously, you mentioned Deulofeu there and potential for him to get rested.
Yeah, and we've mentioned that it's either Kane or Hazard, and I'm leaning towards Hazard at the minute. But I agree that Aguero and Sterling have got the highest projected points, and I think everyone on the free hit will have those two. It's just a question of whether to captain Aguero or Sterling, or if you've got a triple captain, you might want to captain.
Yeah, that's a good point on captaincy, actually. I'm very on the fence on that one. Have you got any thoughts? You leaning either way?
I'm leaning towards Aguero at the minute. You can see on my rest time spreadsheet that they've got Fulham, then Cardiff, then they've got their semi-final against Brighton. And then 3 days later they've got Tottenham in the Champions League. So if you think that they're going to rest players in one game, it might be the semi-final against Brighton ahead of the Champions League. And then Aguero doesn't play for Argentina anymore. So I think I'll go for Aguero.
Yeah, and Jesus, he's been with Brazil, hasn't he? So I guess if they were going to rest somebody, it would be him. So I think that out of the two, I mean, it's a dangerous game trying to second guess Pep. But on the info that we have at the moment, then out of the two, you probably say Aguero is more likely to get more minutes. So I would probably agree, and I'd probably lean towards Aguero at the moment. But it's a real coin flip, that one. Okay, then. So this is my double game week draft that I put together. It's still, this is draft number 5 of probably about 50. So it's very much in flux. I've obviously gone for the Chelsea triple up in defence. I think that, if they can just get one clean sheet out of Cardiff and Brighton, I know they haven't been doing that well in clean sheets recently, but I think it's a gamble which I'm tempted to take. I might go for Kepa in goal instead of De Gea, and then maybe bring Schlupp in. I'm not 100% set on that, or maybe Edison and Schlupp instead of Laporte, and maybe upgrade in midfield, or maybe switch out Jimenez for one of the City mids. There's a lot of different ways you could go, but that's currently where I'm leaning. But actually, just from the conversation I've been having with you, I think that Jimenez is probably up for the chop there, just because that, having a look at that sheet that you put together, I do think that Wolves potentially could be resting players in that Man United match. What are your thoughts on those picks? Any ones that I've gone for which you wouldn't recommend apart from Jimenez?
Well, 3 Chelsea is risky in defence, but
I love a risk.
If you're not getting Hazard, then you may as well get the 3 defenders, because you can't really trust. Unless you want to go for Higuain, but
I haven't even considered Higuain or Willian or Pedro or anyone like that. I think it is. I will get 3 Chelsea players. Kepa and Hazard are also high up in my thoughts. I would like to get Hazard. It is a toss-up between him and Kane, and I'm really not sure at the moment. So, yeah, it could very, very much change. So we're going to have a quick look at your team now. So this is in using your spreadsheet. So yeah, take us through that and your thoughts around those players, and who's nailed on, who's not going anywhere, and who's up for, who's potentially could be swapped out for another player.
Well, nailed on is Hazard, Sterling, Aguero, Pogba. I'll have one Crystal Palace attacker on midfielder. I quite like Milivojevic at the minute, but I could switch to Batshuayi.
Oh yeah.
If Rashford, he's just withdrawn from the England squad. So if there's no positive news about Rashford or Lukaku, I could bring in Batshuayi instead, and then upgrade Milivojevic, or maybe play 4-4-2 and get Ashley Young as a defender.
What are your thoughts on, so if Lukaku and Rashford are both declared fit and they're both ready to go and no injury concerns about either of them, who would come into your team?
Lukaku, because he's the central striker and he's been in good form recently. Rashford plays more on the wing. When Lukaku's playing, I think I would try and fit Lukaku in.
So you might have to downgrade Eriksen maybe to afford that.
Yeah, I would maybe play. I could play 4-3-3 with Batshuayi, Lukaku, Aguero, and then maybe Pogba, Sterling, Hazard. I don't know, but I think I would definitely want Lukaku if he looks like he's going to play.
Yeah, I think that he could be a very strong shout if it looks like he's going to start. What about the rest of the team then? You're pretty settled on Schlupp, Laporte, Louise as a back 3?
Yeah, I think so. And if I had a 4th player, I might look at Ashley Young.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
As a latest draft, I've actually got Edison instead of Laporte, and I've got Aspilicueta instead of who would it be? Got David Luiz, Aspilicueta, and Schlupp. So
yeah,
just you just want the defensive coverage. I'll have 2 Chelsea defenders or maybe the goalkeeper, and I'll have one Man City, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout. So lots more tinkering to do by the sounds of it, but yeah, I like the look of that a lot, to be honest. Can't really knock any of those picks. Okay, so Ben, I know lots of our viewers will have used this sheet because I know that it's got a hell of a lot of downloads on Fantasy Football Hub, and members do get completely free access to your sheet. But if we could, and I have plugged it myself like a lot of different times, but if we could get the man himself to just take us through the sheet and what it does in a couple of minutes.
Okay, it's a spreadsheet that shows fixtures coming up. Helps you to plan transfers. This is my wildcard 1 page where I'm just concentrating on Gameweek 33. So I can select it to show just Gameweek 33 there. You can plan transfers. I think I was thinking of getting a goalkeeper this week. So I can use these Gameweek in and Gameweek out boxes to select players and plan transfers. So if I wanted to do Fabianski to Leno, I could see that. It also has up-to-date prices. So if Leno were to change price, I wouldn't be able to afford him, and it would show that on the spreadsheet.
Right.
And see that I've got 0.0 in the bank if I were to get Leno. You can also use it to plan your wildcard teams. You can see that this is just a wildcard team that I've come up with recently. The fixtures are formatted based on the difficulty ratings. You can see a full schedule down here, and you can edit the difficulty ratings on this page down here. So the offensive rating, you could say Arsenal were better than 2 at home. Then you can edit the defensive ratings here as well, and then that will correspond to the colours that you see on this page.
Very nice. It's just a brilliant way of being able to visualize your team and look at transfers in and out and see the fixtures very, very easily. So yeah, if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? It's a very, very good sheet. I've been using this for the last few weeks especially, and yeah, it's really, really helped me and look at the transfers in and out and plan for the upcoming game weeks. And I know it's helped you. So you obviously planned quite far in ahead, and you were able to get 11 players for last game week, and that enabled you to bring Sterling in and take a slightly different route. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the key thing. I was preparing quite early for the double game weeks, for the blank game weeks, and knowing I could get 11 players allowed me to take a hit to get Sterling, and that paid off well.
It's a very, very useful tool, and I know that a lot of top players are using it, and it's been very, very well received. So yeah, if you haven't, I'll leave a link in the description that you can go and check that out. But otherwise, Ben, where can people find you, and where can they hear all your words of wisdom around double game weeks?
Well, I'm just on Twitter, posting things, and I've got my public FPL calendar spreadsheet that I've got a link to on Twitter. I've got all these things. I've got the calendar. You can see the double game weeks here.
Yeah, that thing is invaluable as well.
Fixtures. I've got that rest day spreadsheet down here that you can use to look at. But yeah, that's about it really.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's about it for now. But I've really enjoyed chatting with you, Ben. And yeah, if you guys do want to check him out, go look at Twitter. You access the tool on site. And but otherwise, it's a goodbye from me.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.